The White House says that President Joe Biden will mark the first anniversary of the attack on the U.S. Capitol building in Washington with a speech highlighting the peril that American democracy still faces. On January the 6th last year, hundreds of pro-Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building to try and prevent lawmakers from recognizing Joe Biden as the next U.S. president. A year on, polls show that America remains divided, with many still believing the presidential election was rigged. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Well, the Capitol looks very different now than it did when I was here almost exactly a year ago. At that point, the whole space behind me was teeming with hundreds of people, many of whom had smashed their way through barricades, some who had gone on to break their way into the Capitol building, ransacking offices inside. Since then, the vast majority have been arrested and prosecuted. More than 700 arrests and prosecutions have taken place. And for those who pleaded guilty, they've already started to be sentenced. One person was sentenced just last week to a jail term of 5 years for throwing a fire extinguisher at police. Those who pleaded not guilty, their trials are due to get underway from next month. Then on top of that, there's also the congressional inquiry. Lawmakers are investigating whether President Donald Trump and his inner circle knew about the attack before it took place. So Congress and the courts are continuing to deal with the aftermath of what took place here a year ago. And on top of that, President Biden is trying to make good on his promise to unite the country. That certainly hasn't happened so far. A couple of polls out in just the last week show that more than 70% of Republicans believe Trump's false claims that the election was stolen from him. And more than 50% of Republicans believe that the rioters here a year ago were protecting democracy. To try and counter that, the White House says that President Biden will speak about what they're calling those lies. He will speak the truth when he gives a speech to mark the one-year anniversary of the attack on the Capitol building. We're told that he'll also warn about the peril that voting rights and democracy continues to face. Democrats point to a number of laws that have been introduced in Republican-led states that limit access to voting. President Biden will say that democracy is therefore still under threat and legislation needs to be passed. The Democrats are trying to get it through the Senate that will counter some of those new laws. Meanwhile, the FBI says it's received no intelligence that we will see a repeat of what happened a year ago on the anniversary. They're saying that they have received no credible threats that violence is planned to mark the anniversary. Nick Harper, SABC News, Washington.